My husband is well known throughout the neighborhood as a good man. Whenever someone needs help, he's always the first to step up, working tirelessly and giving his all. But the moment he comes home, he lies in bed acting like a lord. During the new year, he casually sent out thousands in red envelopes in the group chat without batting an eye. Yet at the reunion dinner, because I accidentally broke a bowl, he flipped the entire table. When the young man downstairs went on a business trip, he got up at 5 a.m. to walk his dog, but when I asked him to pick up some groceries on the way back, he glared and said that's a woman's job. Now they want to give away the last half bucket of water at home to someone else, and of all things, they have to pass right in front of me. Looking at his cracked lips, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. He had simply calculated that, for the sake of my son, I would swallow my pride and go ask for the water back. He gets to play the saint. While I bear all the infamy, in my previous life, that's exactly how it happened. I couldn't persuade Fin Chiu, and he ended up giving the water to the mother and daughter next door. Not long after, my son started crying for water, and I had no choice but to ask for it back. Our neighbor Ivy Wang frowned as she poured out some of the water, while Fin Chiu stood by saying what a disgrace it was to have such a stingy wife. After drinking water, my son said I was embarrassing him. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. In this lifetime, since they want to be the good people, I won't stand in their way. Dad wants to give the water to someone else. Are you okay with that? I asked my son Shorojie, tilting my head. Fin Chiu had obviously already discussed this with Shorojie beforehand. Shorojie immediately nodded, mimicking his father's tone. We're willing. We should be kind. Mom, don't be so stingy. In those eyes was admiration for his father and a hint of disdain toward me. Fine, I nodded, not wanting to say another word. Fin Chiu knocked on the neighbor's door, and the voice of Ivy Wang, filled with surprise and a hint of feigned reluctance, came through. I picked up the small bag I had packed, turned around, and without hesitation, opened the door and walked out. The scorching air downstairs hit me in the face, but all I felt was relief. I hailed a taxi and gave the driver my mother's address. The car started, and I took out my phone, opening the app connected to the living room camera at home. On the screen, Fin Chiu returned from next door with a beaming face. An hour later, Shorojie began licking his lips, staring longingly at the empty water bottle. Dad, I'm thirsty. Fin Chiu waved dismissively. Hold on, your mom will be back soon. He was certain that I would, just like in my past life, be unable to withstand our son's tearful pleas and swallow my pride to ask for the water back. Time passed slowly, and the scorching summer heat caused the temperature in the room to rise steadily. Xiaojie's whining turned into full-blown crying, his voice hoarse and dry, a clear sign of genuine distress. Fin Chiu began pacing the living room, his eyes constantly darting toward the door, frequently checking his phone. Finally, he couldn't hold back and called me, Zara Zhao. Where have you run off to? Shorojie is dying of thirst. His voice was filled with anger. Leaning back on the comfortable sofa, I replied casually, Oh, I have some urgent business outside and won't be back tonight. Shorojie is thirsty. Isn't there half a bucket of water at home? I deliberately paused for effect, then added as if suddenly remembering, Oh, right, you gave the water away. Well, there's nothing I can do about it then. You. Fin Chiu was so angry on the other end of the phone that he was speechless. Get back here right now. Emergency. Can't come back. I decisively hung up the phone. In the surveillance footage, Xiaojie's crying grew louder. Fin Chiu was at his wit's end. He tried turning on the kitchen faucet, but of course, not a single drop came out. He irritably grabbed his hair, sitting on the couch and yelling at Shorojie, All you do is cry, cry, cry. Then he stood up and left the house. A few minutes later, he returned empty-handed. I guess he probably went downstairs to buy water. The neighborhood has been without water for several days, and the large water bottles at the convenience store downstairs are all sold out. He can't bear to spend money on drinks. 2 days ago, I asked him to go downstairs and buy a case of water to stock up. Fin Chiu flatly refused. Are you out of your mind? Buying water? Do you have too much money with nowhere to spend it? On the surveillance footage, Shorojie was crying his heart out in the living room. He hesitated at the door for a moment before stepping out of the house. Not long after, he returned. In his hand, he was unmistakably carrying that half-filled bucket of water. His expression was as grim as it could be. I was somewhat surprised that he actually wanted to come back. Just then, my phone started vibrating. In the neighborhood group chat, a neighbor named Ivy Wang sent a message and specifically tagged me. At Zara Zhao, Sister Zhao, hurry back, don't throw a tantrum and run away from home over a bucket of water. I've already returned the water to you, and Brother Cheong has taken it back. You really shouldn't be so petty and calculative. Look how thirsty the child is. As neighbors, shouldn't we help each other out? You're making it so hard for Brother Cheong. After the message, a few neighbors who didn't know the truth chimed in. Yeah, it's tough for everyone with the water and power cut off. Brother Cheong is such a good person. Sister-in-law, don't be too hard on him. The child is what matters. Hurry back home. Fin Chio quickly followed up. At Zara Zhao, honey, don't be angry anymore. The water is coming back. Be magnanimous and come home soon. Such familiar tactics. Trying to dump this basin of dirty water. Stingy, irresponsible, and embarrassing to a good husband. On me again. In my past life, I had no way to defend myself and could only endure in silence, but in this life, no way. I let out a cold laugh and directly uploaded a photo. In the photo, I was leisurely watering flowers, with a glass of iced lemonade and a plate of bright red watermelon placed on the small table beside me. After sending the photo, I leisurely typed in the group chat, at everyone what running away from home, what asking for water. I went back to my mom's place to handle some urgent matters. There's water and electricity here. At Sister Wang you said the water was returned. That's strange. Didn't I ask Fin Chio to keep it for himself before I left? Could it be that he gave it to you? But if the water was given away, how can there be any reason to ask for it back? At Fin Chio, honey, return the water immediately. We can't afford to lose face like this. One must be generous. We can't be this stingy. At Fin Chio, honey, didn't I tell you yesterday how unbearable it was without water and electricity? And suggested bringing Shoro Jie to stay at my mom's place for a couple of days. You insisted it would be embarrassing to go back to my parents' house. What a pity about the chilled big watermelon my mom prepared. Now I get to enjoy it all by myself. As soon as the message was sent, the group chat fell silent. The neighbors who had just been chiming in about helping each other out suddenly went quiet. The mood shifted imperceptibly, and for the first time, a tiny crack appeared in Fin Chio's image as the nice guy. My mom speared a piece of watermelon and held it to my lips. Who are you mad at? Your face is so tense. I took a bite, and the refreshing sweetness instantly doused my anger. I let out a long sigh, wearing the first genuine smile since my rebirth. It's nothing. Mom, just took out some trash. I paused for a moment. This is just the beginning. The real show is yet to come. I will personally tear off their masks of virtue, inch by inch. From their faces, I stayed at my mother's house for several days and even found a job while I was there. Having lived through my past life, I finally understood that only with financial independence can one have a voice. Every time I mentioned going out to find a job over the years, Fin Chio would stop me, using the children as an excuse. He gave me 2,000 yuan a month for living expenses but still complained about the poor meals. During the new year, he even questioned me about why I hadn't saved any money. Only after the water and electricity were restored at home did I leisurely return. As soon as I entered, my son Shoro Jie raised his fists to hit me, screaming, bad mom, get out, I don't have a mom like you. The mother-in-law egged him on from behind. Go on, Shoro Jie, hit her hard. A heartless mother like this, abandoning her own son and leaving this old bag of bones to take care of you too, she deserves a beating. This time, the mother-in-law arrived at the house earlier. My son Shoro Jie is in the 6th grade. Though he only comes up to my waist, he packs quite a punch when he hits. Fed up with the beating, I grabbed his wrist and slapped him across the face with the back of my hand. Get lost. This house belongs to my mom. If you don't want to stay here, then get out. My son Shoro Jie was stunned by the slap, staring at me in disbelief before collapsing to the floor wailing, "Wah, evil mommy." My mother-in-law's face instantly darkened as she pointed at my nose. How dare you? You actually hit my grandson, you vicious woman. Rolling my eyes, I stepped over the howling Shoro Jie and marched straight to the bedroom, slamming the door shut to ignore the commotion outside. Seeing her words had no effect on me, my mother-in-law opened the family group chat and began pouring out her grievances. She took a video of little Jie crying. Such wickedness. The moment my daughter-in-law came home, she started hitting my grandson. His face is all swollen, How miserable my life is as an old woman, to be stuck with such an unfilial and cruel daughter-in-law. The sister-in-law was the first to jump in. At Zara Zhao, are you even human? How could you hit a child? My brother must have been blind to marry you. All the aunts and relatives in the group instantly emerged, hurling all kinds of accusations at me. I let out a cold laugh and tapped lightly on the screen. At sister-in-law. Didn't you say during the new year that you wanted to bring mom and dad to stay in the city for a while? I agreed, and the room is still reserved for you. You're welcome anytime. Less than 10 seconds after sending the message, my sister-in-law's attitude did a complete 180. Oh, sister-in-law. Look at you. It's all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. It must be Shou Jie being disobedient and upsetting you. Sister-in-law, you're magnanimous. Don't take it to heart with a child. I was just so flustered earlier. Sister-in-law, please don't take it personally. In my past life, my sister-in-law also proposed coming to stay with us. Fin Xiu generously agreed, saying he'd give them 2 rooms and even offered to drive and pick them up. After all, we're family. Then she turned around and complained to me, saying there were only 3 rooms in the house, and with 2 already taken, our family would have to squeeze into one. She also said she knew her sister-in-law's nature all too well, always looking to take advantage. If she came, she wouldn't pay rent and would expect to be waited on hand and foot. In the end, I had to be the one to say no. Just because I refused, they didn't hesitate to badmouth me behind my back, calling me heartless and making snide remarks whenever they saw me during holidays. This time, I'm going to strike first. The message had barely been sent when my mother-in-law started banging on the door. My husband, Fin Xiu, called immediately, yelling at me without hesitation. What's gotten into you? Who told you to agree to this? Do we even have room for them? Take it back now, I replied leisurely. Wasn't it you who always taught me to be kind and generous? I'm just following your example. Your sister rarely asks for anything. How could I say no and hurt her feelings? As I spoke, I opened the group chat and added, as long as my husband has no objections, you're welcome to stay anytime. My sister-in-law immediately started showering praise in the group, one flattering remark after another. Big brother will definitely agree. He's the most generous. Fin Xiu was put on the spot, and with everyone watching, he couldn't bring himself to refuse, so he had no choice but to grudgingly accept. Seeing that she couldn't change the situation, my mother-in-law naturally began to make arrangements, asking me to buy groceries and cook. After saying this, she claimed a friend had invited her to square dancing and she had no time to help. She had just arrived in the city. Where would she have friends? It was just an excuse to shirk responsibility. For, by the time my sister-in-law and her in-laws arrived, it was already 9 p.m. Fin Xiu saw the empty table and was about to lose his temper on the spot, but he held back his anger in front of the guests and asked, Zara Zhao, didn't you cook? I looked troubled and said, I wanted to. But there's no food at home. No money. I spread my hands and stared straight at Fin Xiu. Did you give me any money? Fin Xiu's face turned red with embarrassment. Gritting his teeth, he pulled out a few red bills from his wallet and shoved them at me, explaining to his sister's family, I forgot this month. Normally, it's several thousand a month. I took the money and slowly stood up. It's too late to go grocery shopping now. Why don't we eat out? I looked at my sister-in-law's family. You rarely visit. Let's go out for a nice meal. In my previous life, every holiday and New Year, I was the one busy in the kitchen while Fin Xiu lounged on the sofa, acting more like a guest than the actual guests. Every time we hosted, he never contributed money and still complained about my cooking. After eating, he would go out to have fun with others, leaving the whole mess for me to clean up alone, never lifting a finger to help. My sister-in-law's family's eyes lit up, and they repeatedly said it was great. Fin Xiu's heart was bleeding, but to save face, he could only grit his teeth and nod. The meal was so stressful for him that he couldn't taste the food, and his face turned green when he saw the bill. Taking advantage of their drunken state, I said, by the way, I found a job and start working tomorrow. It's quite busy, so I might only come back once or twice a week. With that, without waiting for Fin Xiu's reaction, she grabbed her bag and left. That night, the surveillance footage showed Fin Xiu sulkily sleeping on the sofa. Early the next morning, while Fin Xiu was still asleep, I sent a few red packets in the family group chat, celebrating my new job. The hours aren't very flexible, so I'll have to rely on my husband more at home. I'm so lucky to have married such a wonderful man. Cut off his idea of emotionally blackmailing me in front of relatives to make me a housemaid. In the following days, Finchio had to queue for the toilet in the morning and rush to buy a big bag of groceries early, spent several thousand in a week, yet still had to squeeze on the sofa at night. He kept calling me, and each time I quickly answered, said I was busy, and decisively hung up after a few days. Finchio looked so haggard that he seemed to have aged 10 years. He finally couldn't take it anymore and started dropping random comments in the family group chat, trying to get relatives to speak up and criticize his sister-in-law's family on his behalf. The aunts and cousins caught the drift and began openly or subtly blaming the sister-in-law's family for being inconsiderate, overstaying their welcome at their brother's place. I immediately jumped in to play the good guy. At everyone, don't say that, we're all family. They can stay as long as they want. Sis, don't be shy. At Finchio, right, hubby, you're the most generous. Finchio was so angry he nearly threw his phone, but to save face, he still chimed in, yeah, stay as long as you want, we're not the stingy type. A week later, the mother-in-law was the first to crack. After the sister-in-law arrived, she had to get up early every day to cook and take care of the whole family. Exhausted to the point of constantly rubbing her sore back, she and the sister-in-law ended up in a heated argument, airing each other's dirty laundry. My mother-in-law pointed at the door and shouted, "Get out, take your whole family and get out of here." My sister-in-law wasn't one to back down either. She planted her hands on her hips and retorted, "Why should I? Back when I was in college, the family didn't give me a single cent. It all went to your son. What's the big deal if I stay here for a few days? Besides, this house belongs to my sister-in-law anyway. You old hag have no right to kick me out." I stood by, trying to mediate. "Mom, sis, stop fighting. Calm down, both of you. If sis wants to stay, she can. It's really no problem, right, honey?" After trying to smooth things over, I excused myself, saying I had to work overtime, and left the house, just returned to the company-provided accommodation in the evening. Finchio called immediately. The call began with hysterical screaming. I hung up right away, picked up another phone, and called the most gossip-loving aunt in the family group chat, pretending to make small talk. A few minutes later, Finchio called again. I deliberately said to my aunt, "Oh dear, auntie, it's my husband calling. There might be something urgent at home. Let me take this call first." Only then did I answer Finchio's call and turned on the recording. "Zara Zhao. Are you fucking stupid? You want to invite them to stay at our place? That whole family is nothing but leeches, bloodsuckers. I wish a bolt of lightning would strike them all dead. Right now, immediately, get them the hell out of here, or we're getting a divorce." Finchio completely dropped the act. "Woo-woo, honey, why are you yelling at me?" I said with a sob in my voice. "Didn't you always say we should be generous and kind? I was just doing what you told me. Why do I have to be the one to kick them out? You're the man, the pillar of the family. Wouldn't it carry more weight if you said it?" "Bullshit," Finchio roared. "I'm a man. How can I be the one to do something as shameless as kicking people out? Isn't that humiliating? You have to do it. Go tell them to get lost, or we're getting divorced tomorrow." After his outburst, he slammed the phone down, holding my aunt's phone. My voice choked with tears. "Auntie, I really don't know what to do. I think it's fine having my sisters stay here." I hesitated to speak, perfectly playing the role of a wronged yet understanding daughter-in-law. Auntie was fired up, her sense of justice exploding. "So this is how you are, Finchio, one face in public, another behind closed doors. Just you wait." She hung up in a fury, and in less than 2 minutes, the details of my conversation with Finchio were relayed to the group chat. She even specifically tagged my sister-in-law's family. "Listen to this. Just listen to what your dear big brother said. Calling you all sticking plasters and bloodsuckers are those words anyone should say to family. And now he's forcing your sister-in-law to kick you out. You all figure it out. Don't let them divorce over you." No matter how Finchio tried to explain, he couldn't out-talk his sharp-tongued aunt. Finchio's reputation for generosity was pretty much ruined. Seeing the messages in the group chat, his sister-in-law's family trembled with anger. They packed their bags that very day and stormed out, slamming the door behind them. Before leaving, they pointed at Finchio's nose and cursed, "Finchio, I see you for who you really are now, hypocrite, scoundrel." 5. On the surveillance feed, I watched them leave before leisurely heading home. The moment I stepped inside, I was greeted by 3 pairs of eyes filled with venomous resentment. Fin Chiu, barely containing his fury, spat out, "Are you satisfied now?" without even lifting my eyelids. I pretended not to understand. "What?" Before I could finish, he flared up again. "And that lousy job of yours? Quit it, stay home and take good care of Shorojie from now on." I scoffed. "Isn't Mom here for that?" My gaze swept over my mother-in-law's sharp, unkind face. In my previous life, it was around this time as well. Before bringing my mother-in-law over, Fin Chiu told me, "My mom is coming to help you out." Fin Chiu made a grand show of bringing his mother here, in front of relatives. He put on a full show of being the filial son and grandson. "Mom, from now on, you just enjoy a life of leisure here with your son. You don't have to lift a finger." But the moment he turned around, he dumped everything on me, outsourcing his filial duties as if it were only natural. "Zara Zhao, from now on, picking up and dropping off Shorojie, grocery shopping, cooking, and taking care of Mom, it's all your responsibility. Mom is here to enjoy life, not to suffer." Right then, Fin Chiu slammed the table. "My mom is here to enjoy life, not to suffer. You can't even uphold basic filial piety. Have you no conscience?" I'd been waiting for this moment. "Honey, you're absolutely right. Mom has worked hard all her life and deserves to enjoy her golden years. But I think enjoying life shouldn't just depend on one family. It should be fair. How about this? Mom spends Monday, Wednesday, and Friday enjoying life at our place, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at your sister's, and on Sunday, she can choose where she wants to be, as long as you agree. I'll quit my job right away to take care of Mom full-time and make sure she's completely comfortable. What do you say?" "You're talking nonsense." My mother-in-law was the first to jump up. "I'm not going. I'll stay in my son's house. You vicious daughter-in-law want to push me out." "No way, Zara Zhao, what nonsense are you spouting?" Fin Chiu also flew into a rage. Our son Shorojie chimed in. "Bad mommy, you want to drive grandma away." The 3 of them instantly formed a united front, glaring at me angrily. The smile on my face remained unchanged as I opened the family group chat. "Sure, go ahead and discuss it. Once you've made a decision, let me know. I'll post your choice in the group so our relatives can weigh in and see what arrangement would make Mom happiest. Actually, I'd love to hear my sister-in-law's opinion too." I made a show of preparing to call my sister-in-law. She's far more assertive than I am, and with her current temper, calling her now would undoubtedly stir up a storm. Fin Chiu's face changed dramatically as he rushed over, raising his hand as if to strike me. My eyes turned sharp, and instead of retreating, I stepped forward. "Fin Chiu, if you dare lay a finger on me today, tomorrow I'll march straight to your boss's office with my injuries and make a scene. Let's see if you can save face then." Fin Chiu's raised hand froze midair. He glared at me, his chest heaving violently. Finally, he gritted out through clenched teeth, "Suit yourself, resign or not. I don't care." I consulted a lawyer about divorce proceedings. After understanding the situation, the lawyer said, "Unless both parties are willing to divorce, it's not just a matter of the 30-day cooling-off period. Especially if the husband is unwilling, it's very likely the divorce won't happen. Even if you file for divorce, it could drag on for a year or 2. Besides, there's no real conflict between you two. It's extremely difficult to break clean." Just as I was overwhelmed with troubles, my neighbor Ivy Wang knocked on the door. Ivy Wang wore a fake smile. "Sister Zhao, Brother Cheung asked us to get the car keys from you. He said we could borrow the car for a few days to make it easier to take the kids to school." This again. Fin Chiu plays the good guy himself, trying to make me the villain. In my past life, I pitted him for waking up early to squeeze onto the bus and refused, only to be publicly humiliated by him. Ivy Wang even added fuel to the fire, ruining my reputation in the neighborhood. Looking at Ivy Wang's hypocritical face, I maintained a smile and affectionately grabbed her hand. "Oh, Sister Wang, what are you talking about? What borrowing? If Brother Cheung agreed, then it's our family's matter. Here's the key for you." I cheerfully shoved the car keys into her hand. "Use it as long as you need, don't stand on ceremony. Neighbors should help each other out." Just then, Fin Chiu, probably wanting to play the good guy again, happened to walk to the doorway and missed me handing over the keys. He immediately put on his usual stern face and adopted a lecturing tone, scolding me. "Zara Zhao, neighbors ought to help each other. How can you be so stingy? arguing over a bit of water, and now even refusing to lend a car. He didn't get to finish his sentence. Ivy Wang immediately waved the keys in her hand, her face full of gratitude as she cut him off. "Oh, Brother Cheung, you've got it all wrong. Sister Zhao is incredibly generous. She even gave me the keys and said I could use the car for as long as I want. Thank you both so much. You're such kind people." Fin Qiu's expression froze instantly. He opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word, left to watch helplessly as Ivy Wang and her daughter happily walked away with the keys. As soon as the door closed, Fin Qiu grabbed my arm, his eyes fierce. "Zara Zhao, what's the meaning of this? If you lend them the car, how am I supposed to get to work? How will Shoro Jie get to school?" I put on an innocent face and forcefully shook off his grip. "Why are you yelling? Weren't you the one who agreed to lend it first? Isn't the great philanthropist Cheung all about kindness and generosity?" "Not willing. Fine, I'll go get the keys back right now and tell them it's because you, Fin Qiu, are too stingy to lend it." I was about to open the door as I spoke. Fin Qiu suddenly stopped me, his face darkening as if water could drip from it. "Forget it. What's borrowed is borrowed." In my previous life, the day after the car keys were lent out, my mother-in-law inexplicably fell ill. She insisted on going to the hospital. When I suggested calling 120, both my mother-in-law and husband refused, even threatening to smash my phone if I tried to make the call. I had no choice but to forcibly ask for the car keys back, and as a result, Ivy Wang made sarcastic remarks about me in the group chat, saying I was stingy, barely lending them out before demanding them back. She even said that Cheung marrying me was the worst luck he could have had in 8 lifetimes. To this day, I still don't know whether my mother-in-law was really sick or just pretending. This time, I left home the very same day I lent out the keys. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, certain that I must get a divorce, but how could I make him agree to it willingly? The next day, Fin Qiu got up an hour early, groggily and grumblingly rushing to work. Subway Line 3 was especially crowded during rush hour, with people packed like sardines, making it hard to even breathe. He didn't get home until very late at night, cutting his sleep time short by a full 2 hours. After a few days of this, dark circles appeared under Fin Qiu's eyes, and he exuded an exhausted, irritable demeanor, as if completely drained. Life hasn't been easy for little Jie either. Without the car, he had to carry his heavy backpack and squeeze onto the bus. After just a few days, he had tanned noticeably. Every day after school, he would collapse onto the sofa, his little face scrunched up in exhaustion, complaining non-stop, "I'm exhausted, it's so crowded, and so hot." One day, Jie finally couldn't take it anymore. With resentment in his voice, he confronted Fin Qiu. "Dad, why did you lend the car to Auntie Wang and them? Now I have to squeeze onto the bus every day." Fin Qiu had been bottling up his anger with nowhere to vent it, and his son's question was like lighting a fuse to a powder keg. He turned around abruptly and, without a second thought, slapped Shoro Jie hard across the face with the back of his hand. Slap. The sound was startlingly loud. "Who are you to meddle in adult matters? Taking the bus won't kill you. Shut your mouth," Fin Qiu snarled, venting all his pent-up anger on his son. Shoro Jie was stunned by the blow, clutching his face as tears welled up in his eyes. My mother-in-law stood by, her heart aching so much she kept gasping. Yet she didn't dare scold her son the way she scolded me. What drove Fin Qiu even crazier was that Ivy Wang and her mother showed no intention of returning it. Several times when he came home from work and saw the car parked downstairs, he wanted to ask for it back, but held back at the last moment for fear of losing face. That day, I had just stepped through the door and hadn't even had time to change my shoes. The mother-in-law clutched her chest and wailed, "Ouch, oh dear, I can't take it, my heart hurts, can't breathe, quick, take me to the hospital." She collapsed onto the sofa, her acting exaggerated, but her eyes kept darting toward me. This time, I was 100% sure she was faking it. Without another word, I pulled out my phone and pretended to dial 120, "Don't call." Fin Qiu reacted as if his tail had been stepped on, lunging forward to snatch the phone. The mother-in-law, still lying down, shrieked, "Why call 120? That would cost so much money. We have a car at home. Zara Zhao, go get the car back and take me there." "That won't do. An ambulance would be much faster." "Don't be stingy over this little money," Fin Qiu roared. "How can you be so selfish? Go get the car now." My son Xiaojie also joined the chorus of criticism. frowning as he scolded me, "Mom, can't you even do something as simple as asking for the car keys? Grandma is in so much pain." His tone was the spitting image of a young Fin Chiu, watching the three generations in perfect sync, effortlessly wielding emotional blackmail. I felt a deep chill in my heart. "Fine, if you want to put on a show, I'll give you a performance you won't forget." As I struggled to break free from Fin Chiu, I sent a voice message in the neighborhood group chat. "Dear neighbors, please, I beg for your help. My mother-in-law suddenly fell seriously ill and is in terrible pain. But my husband refuses to call an ambulance because he thinks it's too expensive. He insists I go retrieve the car we lent to Ivy Wang's family and drive her myself. This is a matter of life and death. How can we be worrying about saving money now? Does anyone have a car we could borrow to take her to the hospital? Please, I'm begging you, my mother-in-law can't wait." The group chat exploded instantly. "Oh my. Brother Cheung usually seems like such a generous person. Why is he being so stingy now? How much does 120 cost? Is money more important than life? At Fin Chiu, call 120 quickly. Don't delay." "Exactly, Brother Cheung, you're always so eager to help the neighbors. But now you're reluctant when it's your own mother." Fin Chiu, trembling with anger, quickly explained, "Don't listen to his nonsense, it's not true at all." He frantically grabbed the phone, trying to retract my voice message. But unfortunately, it was already too late. Fin Chiu pulled up the mother-in-law, who had just been on the verge of collapse, and urged her to immediately send a voice message in the group to clarify. "Oh, everyone, don't listen to my daughter-in-law's nonsense. I'm fine, it's just some old ailment. She's making a big fuss over nothing, and there's no need for an ambulance at all. Finn is a good kid, how could he be stingy with money? Everyone, just move along now." The shift left the group chat in sudden silence. Everyone saw through it but chose not to speak up. The next day, an edited audio recording quietly surfaced on a popular local forum and in the inboxes of several influential bloggers, accompanied by descriptions of the neighbors' bizarre behavior and a few screenshots of the group chat. Worried they might not report it, I had my best friend send them some money. Public opinion quickly escalated, though no names were mentioned. Fin Chiu was soon exposed. Labels like hypocrisy, stinginess, unfilial, and suffering for the sake of face were plastered everywhere. His phone was flooded with calls, and his WeChat was bombarded with friend requests, all filled with insults and accusations. After a few days, Fin Chiu was overwhelmed, living in constant fear, feeling as if the whole world was pointing fingers at him. For several days in a row, Fin Chiu endured immense public pressure, drained of all energy. Looking haggard and with a vacant stare, I watched coldly, knowing the time was ripe. Fin Chiu had just gotten off work and was walking to the entrance of the residential area when Ivy Wang, accompanied by a fierce-looking, gold chain-wearing thug, aggressively blocked his path. The moment she saw Fin Chiu, Ivy Wang began wailing dramatically. "Brother Cheung, you have to save me. Something terrible has happened." Fin Chiu was already agitated, and the sudden shout made his head throb even more. "What now?" Ivy Wang pointed at the burly man beside her. "This is my cousin Wang Wu. He took the car out for an errand, and then accidentally hit someone." Fin Chiu's vision darkened, and he nearly lost his balance. Hit someone? How bad is it? Did you call the police? What about the insurance company?" Wang Wu stepped forward, his voice rough and threatening. "Call the police." "Yeah, we did. The cops came. But here's the thing. This car was borrowed by your Fin Chiu for my cousin Ivy Wang, right? And then my cousin lent it to me. The insurance company checked and said this counts as a secondary transfer to an unauthorized driver. They won't pay a dime." "Got it, not a single cent." Fin Chiu was thunderstruck. "No compensation. Then, what do we do?" Wang Wu extended 5 thick fingers, waving them in front of Fin Chiu's face. The victim's family said, "Either pay 500,000 in one go to settle this privately, and the matter will be over, or prepare for a lawsuit. Intentional infliction of serious bodily harm is enough to land you in prison for years. Fin Chiu, Ivy Wang, and me, the 3 of us, none of us will escape. 500,000. Fin Chiu shrieked, feeling the world spin around him. Ivy Wang dropped to her knees before Fin Chiu, clutching his legs desperately, her voice choked with tears. "Brother Cheung, you're known far and wide as the kindest and most generous man. Please, I beg you, help us, it really wasn't my cousin's fault. The other party suddenly rushed out. Brother Cheung, you're the only one who can save us now, otherwise, our whole family is finished, she pleaded through tears while using terms like good person and generous to provoke him. The nosy neighbors gradually gathered around. Fin Chiu, held by Ivy Wang, who was kneeling at the entrance of the residential area with his leg in her grasp, was surrounded by onlookers, as he listened to Ivy Wang repeatedly chanting great person and generous, and thought about the overwhelming negative comments online. An impulse to salvage his reputation instantly overpowered his fear of debt. He desperately needed an opportunity to prove his identity as a good person and to clear his tarnished name online. At that very moment, a flash of insight struck him. The vehicle registration certificate bore the name Zara Zhao. Legally, the car owner is Zara Zhao. The debt, perhaps the debt. This thought swirled in his mind. He looked at Ivy Wang kneeling on the ground, weeping and pleading, then glanced at the complex expressions of the surrounding neighbors, taking a deep breath. As if steeling himself for a monumental decision, he firmly helped Ivy Wang up, straightened his back, and addressed Wang Wu, Ivy Wang, and the onlooking neighbors in a tone brimming with solemn resolve and righteous indignation. Sister Wang, Brother Wang, please get up, since this has happened, and the car was borrowed from me. I, Fin Chiu, can't just stand by. The 500,000, I'll take responsibility for it. Husband, are you crazy? I promptly feigned shock and opposition. Enough, Fin Chiu cut me off harshly, putting on a self-sacrificing and righteous demeanor. How can I, Fin Chiu, turn a blind eye when neighbors are in trouble? I'll figure out the money issue. You go back and wait for news. He deliberately raised his voice to ensure all the neighbors could hear him clearly. Ivy Wang and Wang Wu left with endless thanks, and before leaving, Wang Wu gave me a look that said, "It's all taken care of." Fin Chiu practically dragged his feet back into the house. And as soon as the door closed, he collapsed onto the sofa, his face deathly pale. That very night, the debt collection calls started coming in. Fin Chiu hemmed and hawed, trying to stall for time. The next day, the front door was splashed with glaring red paint, and the gaps were stuffed with threatening letters. On the third day, the debt collectors came directly to the door, kicking it violently with menacing looks. Their foul language clearly audible through the door as they threatened to break arms and legs if the money wasn't repaid. The mother-in-law was so terrified that she hid in the room, trembling. Fin Chiu was overwhelmed and at a complete loss. Finally, the mother-in-law exploded, rushing out to claw and hit Fin Chiu while wailing, "You good for nothing, you jinx, you fool who pretends to be rich when you're not. 50,000. Our whole family isn't even worth 50,000 if we sold everything. Who do you think you're trying to impress? Why is my life so miserable?" She struck with such force that Fin Chiu's face was immediately marked with several bloody scratches. Fin Chiu was stunned by the beating, crouching in a corner with his head in his hands, utterly humiliated. I watched the farce with cold eyes, and when their commotion reached its peak, I returned to my mother's house. When I came back a few days later, the house had been barely tidied up by Fin Chiu and my mother-in-law. Fin Chiu saw me as if grasping at a lifeline. He pulled me into the bedroom, closed the door, and plastered a fawning smile on his face. "Darling, Zara," his voice was hoarse, "look at our situation now, 500,000. We can't scrape together even if we sell everything. The debt collectors come every day, and Mom is almost scared sick. We need to think of something." I looked at him expressionlessly. "What can I do?" "It was you who agreed to pay the compensation." Fin Chiu rubbed his hands, his eyes darting. "There might be a way. You see, the house we're living in now is your mom's, right? Why don't you ask your mom to sell it, and we can use the money to pay off the debt first? Consider it as a loan from me." "Absolutely not." I slammed the table and stood up. "Fin Chiu, don't even think about selling my mom's house." He didn't expect me to react so strongly and felt a bit guilty. "Honey, we can earn the money back. Don't dwell on this temporary loss." My mother-in-law also came in to persuade me. "Zara, Fin did this for the sake of the family this time. He was wrong, but we have to get through this difficulty now, don't we? Once we overcome this hurdle, you two will still be a good couple. I guarantee it for you." Although Shou Jie didn't fully understand what was happening, seeing his father and grandmother surrounding his mother and talking, he frowned and urged impatiently, "Mom, just listen to Dad. Hurry up and settle this matter. It's so annoying. Facing the 3 generations united in persuading me to sell the house, my heart turned to ice. No way I'm selling the house. I'm calling a lawyer right now. I refuse to believe our family has to shoulder this entire 500,000 debt alone. Fin Chio's face darkened with rage. Money, money, money. That's all you care about. I've already made my stance clear. Zara Zhao, either sell the house or we're getting a divorce. Infuriated, I shouted back, fine, divorce it is, we'll split the debt evenly, 250,000 each. Seeing I'd rather divorce than sell the house, Fin Chio's temper instantly deflated. Zara Zhao, don't say things in anger, there's another way. He took a step closer and lowered his voice. I have a friend in a real estate company. They have internal employee discounted houses at super low prices. But the condition is that it must be for first-time homebuyers. If we don't own any property under our names, we can buy one. He paused, observing my reaction, then continued. So, you see, why don't we get a fake divorce? Once we're divorced, neither of us will own property, and we can use that eligibility to buy a cheap house. As soon as the house is in our hands, we'll remarry immediately. Then, we can either mortgage the new house or sell it. Wouldn't that cover the 500,000 debt? Plus, we'd get a free house out of it. His scheme was so shamelessly calculated it was downright appalling, and he thought he could fool me with such a clumsy lie. The car I lent out is under my name. Once we divorce, all the debts will fall on me. I sneered inwardly and deliberately put on an extremely resistant expression. Fake divorce? No way. Absolutely not. I've heard so many fake divorces end up becoming real ones. What if you run off with the home purchase quota or refuse to remarry me? Wouldn't I lose both the person and the money? Fin Chio grew anxious and swore to the heavens. Fin Chio, swear to the skies, it's all for the sake of this family, to pay off the debts. As soon as the house is bought, we'll remarry immediately. If I'm lying, may I be struck by lightning. I remained silent. As if in intense internal conflict, Fin Chio struck while the iron was hot, adding more weight to his offer. Honey, look, to put your mind at ease, let's sign an agreement. During this temporary separation, all our current assets will go to you. Though there's nothing of much value, but at least it's some security. Okay, that should reassure you, right? I raised my head and fixed him with a sharp gaze. All the assets go to me. What about custody of Shoro Jie? If Shoro Jie comes with me, then I'll consider it. Fin Chio's face instantly darkened. No way, Shoro Jie has to stay with me. You're already getting all the assets. If Shoro Jie goes to you too, what if you take the money and then refuse to remarry me? I'd lose everything. My money and my son? Absolutely not. His mother immediately chimed in. Exactly, our precious grandson must stay with our family. You're getting all the assets. That's more than enough sincerity. Shoro Jie has to stay with his father. Shoro Jie seemed to sense the tense atmosphere as well. Shrinking slightly behind Fin Chio and looking at me with a hint of wariness and detachment in his eyes, watching Xiao Jie's evasive gaze, the last trace of softness in my heart was extinguished. I let out a long sigh. All right, fine, since you all insist, to repay the debt and for the sake of this family, I agree to a fake divorce. The property will go to me, and Shoro Jie will stay with you. Seeing me agree, Fin Chio's expression brightened from gloomy, and my mother-in-law visibly relaxed. The divorce proceedings went surprisingly smoothly. Fin Chio, afraid I might change my mind, practically rushed me to the civil affairs office. During the 30-day cooling-off period, the debt collectors came knocking a few more times. Every time they came to cause trouble, I happened to be out and not at home. The sounds of door banging, paint splashing, and threats left them mentally and physically exhausted from the harassment. Fin Chio was utterly terrified. Just hoping to end it all as quickly as possible, they finally made it to the day of getting their marriage certificate. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, holding the dark green divorce certificate in my hand, the sunlight felt a bit harsh. I looked at Fin Chio beside me, who was visibly relieved. Even with a hint of gladness, I crouched down to meet Xiao Jie's eye level and asked calmly, Shoro Jie, is there anything you'd like to say to Mom? Shoro Jie pursed his lips, his gaze evasive. He glanced at me, then at Fin Chio, who was nervously urging him, before finally lowering his head and shaking it slightly. mumbling softly, "No." Fin Xiu immediately stepped between us, the mother and child, urging impatiently, all right, why ask all this? Hurry up and go. I still have to deal with that 500,000 yuan matter." Fearing complications, he grabbed Shou Jie and was about to leave, watching Xiao Jie's small figure being pulled away without a hint of reluctance. The last thread of maternal connection in my heart snapped completely. The dust has settled. That day, I called Wang Wu and told him to sell the car, and the money would be given to him and his buddies as compensation for their hard work. Wang Wu isn't Ivy Wang's cousin, he's someone I found through connections. I had him borrow the car from Ivy Wang at a high price, then bought a similar used car to stage a fake accident scene. I took Ivy Wang to see it, and she was scared out of her wits. I then coaxed and tricked her into going to Fin Xiu, on the other end of the phone. "Got it, sis, next time you have a good deal like this, call me again." After the divorce, the world seemed to instantly become quiet. The debt collector disappeared and never came to harass again. Seeing this, Fin Xiu continued to live in that house. I quickly listed it for sale and got a good price. Only when Fin Xiu's family was kicked out did they wake up as if from a dream. Realizing they might have been scammed, he frantically contacted me, demanding to know why the debt collectors had stopped coming, asking where the money from selling the house was, and hysterically insisting on remarrying. I blocked him outright. Fin Xiu sued me, but since we were already divorced and the 500,000 was never actually given, the case was eventually dropped. I pay the minimum child support each month, without the house provided by my mother. Shou Jie couldn't enroll in school in the city. Fin Xiu, who was struggling to survive himself, couldn't afford the high tuition of private schools either, so he had to send Shou Jie back to their hometown for education. Later, I vaguely heard from friends that it was because he took the blame for his boss to save face, and couldn't stay in the city anymore, so he was forced to return to his hometown. It said that even after going back, he still couldn't shake off his habits of being overly generous despite being poor and obsessed with saving face. Only this time, there was no longer a wicked woman standing in front of him, bearing the costs and infamy brought by his generosity. Those villagers who once benefited from his small favors gradually learned how to flatter him to death after seeing through his true nature and massive debts. A few compliments like "Brother Finn is the most righteous" or "Nothing gets done without Brother Finn" were enough to make him dizzy and take on all sorts of troubles and expenses that shouldn't have been his to bear. He became a complete joke, struggling to maintain his tattered facade of being a good man. And with the money from selling the house, along with my own savings from work, I bought a small place of my own near my mom. Work gradually settled into a routine, and life became peaceful and fulfilling. Occasionally, I would recall Xiao Jie's evasive gaze and silence. In the end, a faint, almost imperceptible sting would rise in my heart, but it was quickly soothed by the sense of freedom. I gave him the choice, but he chose silence himself. In the end, it's his own path to walk. Standing on the balcony of my new home, I gazed at the dazzling lights of countless households in the distance and took a deep breath. The title of a wicked woman, I can bear it. And I can cast it off. From now on, I live only for myself.